everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Why I Love BNI, your podcast spotlighting different members in different chapters on what they love about their business and being a part of the BNI family. So today, I'm super excited to have my guest Johnny with us today. Johnny, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, Macy. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I'm super excited to dive in. So why don't you just kind of kick us off and tell us just a little bit about what you do and how you help people?
Yeah. So again, my name's Johnny Long. I'm a public insurance adjuster with Goldstar Adjusters. I basically we help insureds settle their insurance claims, whether the claim has been filed already or not filed or even paid out. We can come in and help homeowners or insureds increase their settlement if they weren't paid fairly.
Wow, that's awesome. It's something new that I've learned since coming to Florida about public adjusting. I don't know if there just wasn't as many in Michigan or if I just didn't meet any, but it's a great thing of what you guys are doing. So how'd you get involved and how'd you learn about public adjusting?
Um, Kind of a random chance. I play a lot of roller hockey. And I was over in
Oh,
Tallahassee playing roller hockey, and a teammate's dad was there, and just started talking with him. He knew I was in the military at the time. We got to talking. He's a big veteran supporter. So he asked me what my plans were after the military, and at the time I didn't necessarily have anything lined up. So he started talking to me about public insurance adjusting. Told me a lot of the perks of it, what and the benefit and the help it has for the public. So I went back and did some research, liked it, liked the idea of it, more so that I could write my own schedule, so I can take time when I need to. So got into that, and he has a nonprofit foundation, Veterans Claim Victory,
mm-hmm.
and with that, he supported me along the way, paid for my initial training course, paid for
Oh,
my
wow.
my licensing for the state of Florida, continuing education kind of stuff. He helps, through his nonprofit, support me with that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Wow.
been a great deal, all around. It's been a great deal and a great experience.
Well, that's amazing to hear. That's so fun. And roller hockey is sounds amazing. I've never done that, but obviously I come from Michigan. Hockey, ice hockey was the most popular thing ever next to sliced bread. Um,
Yep.
but I think there might be some people who still are watching and maybe not fully understand what you do as a public adjuster. So maybe walk through, from when do people start calling you up? For what reason do people start calling you up? And what is the process that you go through to help them?
So kind of backtrack, like you said earlier, in Michigan, you didn't really know anything about public adjusters and stuff like that.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of public adjusters out there. In some states, they don't
Wow.
even allow public adjusting.
Wow.
So more often than not, we get found out after a claim has been denied or severely underpaid. That's when you're upset about it. You think you need this new roof or whatever it is, right? So you start asking around, or you talking to your roofer or whatever trade it is that you need done on the property, and then they bring up public adjuster. Then hopefully they have a partner in mind, or somebody that they've worked with before and had success with, and then that's usually when we get brought in. We'll come out to the property, we'll perform an inspection, determine if we believe the cause of loss is real, is right, the date of the loss, and do an estimate on the amount of damages. We have a computer program that we work with that is a common platform across the industry, to estimate the amount of damages. And then we sign a contract with the insured. We submit it to the insurance, with our estimate and our photos and everything of our proof of what's going on, and then we basically start a negotiation process.
Mm.
Ideally, it's settled in the negotiation process, but it's not always the case. We have a formal negotiation process, if you will, with the state of Florida called mediation. Um, that's usually that's the second step, and then the other two steps is appraisal or litigation. Obviously, nobody wants to go to litigation, not even us. We don't want that for the homeowners. It's a lengthy process, and it can create some concerns or whatever. So The appraisal process is 50-50. It's not a good thing or a bad thing in the grand scheme of things, but um, on our side of the field, we've had some pretty good success with that as well. But then we negotiate the process and we handle everything from the phone calls to the emails, and we keep the
Wow,
customer updated with those emails and everything of what's going on.
that's
They still
amazing.
have 100% of the decisions to be made. So
Sure.
anytime there's a negotiation offer, we have to take that back to the client and they say yes or no. It's not a it's what we say goes ordeal, you know. So
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And I'm so glad that you really took the time, and I appreciate you taking the time to really educate us on exactly what it is that you do. Because it's so great to have an advocate for that person. I know none of us are the average day-to-day person. We don't know what to say, right? We're like, we don't know what's the proper terminology. We don't know if this looks like fraud, if we're exaggerating, or things like that. Like that is just that's way too much. But then on top of that, you don't want to just accept any type of insurance like, oh, you have no roof, so here's $200, go find a new roof. And you're like, no, I should probably. I think a new roof is a little bit more than $200, possibly. So I think that's great. Is there any like success stories that you have, or anything that you've loved about being a part of public adjusting before we switch gears into BNI?
I one of my ones that recently settled. It went to an attorney, unfortunately, but
Mm,
sometimes our hands are tied with the
sure.
insurance company because they have engineers, and we can hire engineers on our side too. But I got pulled into a claim that was denied. They they had an engineer involved before I got involved, and they found one bad shingle on the roof, and there was also water intrusion on the inside. But the
Mm,
water where they claimed the bad shingle was several feet away from where the water intrusion was. When I did my inspection, I found a bad shingle that was right above where the water was leaking. So I took my pictures. I got in the attic. I took pictures where there's water stains and stuff on the decking, right underneath where that shingle was, and right above where the water intrusion was, the interior of the house. We submitted that information. They basically still said no, that it's not right. They wanted to perform another engineer inspection. So they brought out another engineer who didn't bother to get on the roof, didn't bother to get in the attic. He said that he's seen my photos and he was just going to use my photos. Well, one would think that he would come to the same conclusion then. But his conclusion was that there was bad flashing along the chimney that was closer than what their bad shingle was. So now at least they're closer to the problem, but
mm,
not, they're saying that bad flashing is where the leak was, and it wasn't. So once insurance carriers get an engineer solution or whatever, that's kind of what their say is going to be. And I can't do anything except hire an engineer or send the client to an attorney. We sent the client to an attorney, and we went from $0 to $20,000.
oh,
Um,
wow.
we- and a lot of people like to think that we push for a new roof and stuff like that. Sure, it would be great to get a full roof replacement, but it wasn't for a full roof. It was more for the interior damage that was caused than anything.
Wow.
A repair on the roof and a lot of repairs on the interior.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear, and it's unfortunate that sometimes cases like that happen, and it gets a little bit more complicated than anyone wants it to be. But you guys did your job, and it sounds like 20,000 versus a zero is definitely preferable in the long run, for sure. Um, but switching gears just a little bit into BNI, I'd love to hear who was the first person that invited you to BNI? How'd you find out about it?
Again, back to my boss.
Oh, wow.
I call him a master networker. He's in quite a few networking groups. He had not been in BNI himself yet at that point. But knowing a lot of people in the networking world and stuff like that, and they all love BNI. His son Zach was in BNI. He's like one of my mentors and my partner in all this. And within Goldstar Adjusters, we have like 6 or 7 of us that are in BNI chapters throughout Florida and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Um, so yeah, BNI has definitely been a huge help to our business and my business. I, I I wouldn't be here without them. That's for sure.
Wow. Do you have a favorite BNI success story from being a part of it?
I mean, that claim that I just
Oh,
explained was a
yeah.
BNI referral.
Wow.
I mean, just about all of them really have been BNI referrals. A roofer that's in my chapter, he's got me in touch with his boss, and they've got me working some claims up in Georgia. Um,
Wow.
so it's definitely been a huge success.
Wow. That's so great. I'm just curious, only because it's kind of relevant as of right now, as of recording, but it's very cold, obviously, here in Northeast Florida. And top of that, I know we've had a lot of rain too, which just makes it a little bit dicey. Just curious, is there anything that you think people should keep an eye out when it comes to something like this? Um, any damage that could come to their house that they should start thinking about calling you up for, anything like that?
Um, the the most like a lot of people when they pull up in their driveway, they don't really look at their house. They don't look at their roof and
Mm,
stuff like that because it just comes a natural thing. When you're pulling into your driveway, look up at your roof, and especially if you have what they call a three-tab shingle.
okay.
If you have a three-tab shingle, then you definitely need to look at your roof. Outside of that, same thing. Once you get into the inside of the house, how often do you look up at your ceiling?
Mm,
Hardly ever, right? So look, take a walk around your house, get a flashlight, a bright flashlight, because sometimes those stains blend in. And when you get a
true.
flashlight, it helps it stand out. But
Okay.
walk around the house, look at your ceiling, see if you got some yellowish, brownish stains going on. Sometimes they can be a really light gray. Around your AC vents, if you got like a condensation, especially if you keep your house really cold, look around the AC vents and stuff like that. That would
Okay.
be my biggest thing.
Okay. Those are some really great tips. I think I was talking about this recently on the podcast as well as we were talking about like stains in your someone told me to like take a pencil if you have a stain and like circle around it just to see if it grows any bigger and it like when do you start calling in those people to really make sure that it's not like, "Oh, has it always been there?" No, I think it's new and I think there's a problem. Let me call Johnny and let me call, I'm sure or
Yep.
HVAC guy, whatever that looks like. So I don't remember who I was talking to when we were talking about that. So getting a lot of great advice when it comes to stains on my ceiling. I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out now.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, when I bought this house October of 23, and literally
Mm,
less than a month, we had our first rainstorm, and I hear it dripping in my bedroom. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
bruh.
And not everything is claim worthy. That was just a little stain or little
Right.
drip. It didn't even stain. Um, Being that I get on roofs and stuff like that, I have a ladder. I went to Home Depot and I got some sealant, and I got up there and I found I had a nail pop. You know,
Uh,
it wasn't wind damage or anything like that, so I would have been able to file a claim anyways. But it's not always about pushing a claim that doesn't need to. You know,
exactly.
proper maintenance of a house is key, even when it comes to your policy. If you got something going on, you have to follow that policy and provide maintenance. Don't just let it go and then hope you can file a claim later on.
Right. Yeah. I remember when we bought our house is a new build. And he told us, he's like, "Hey, this is how you take care of" what was it? I think our air conditioner or whatever, our when one of those systems were. And he's like, "Hey, if we come out here and there's a problem and we can tell it's because you weren't doing this, we're not gonna fix it because you should just be doing that once a month, making sure it's clean." And we were like, "Okay." And I don't think we've had any issues, or maybe we needed something replaced, and that's why like there was a little leak. But we were doing our job. We were cleaning. So it's great to know. But Johnny, thank you so much for coming on, taking a few minutes. You did such a great job of educating us on everything that it comes when it comes to your job, when it comes to things that we should take care of on our home. So I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Not a problem. Thanks for inviting me out and pleasure
Yes.
of being here.
Yeah. Well, to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well. And then I'll see you next time. Bye.